Hello and welcome to the round 23 injury update presented by AIA Vitality. So our biggest concern from the game on Friday night was obviously Darcy Moore. He was subbed out in the first quarter with what on the night was like hamstring tightness, awareness, relieved with some treatment, but just not good enough to put him back out on the field. So we made the decision to sub him out. He had a weekend and that confirmed a really small strain in his hamstring. So it's his left hamstring. A typical time frame for this kind of injury is sort of somewhere between the 2 to 4 week mark. So we're expecting Darcy to be well and truly back for finals time. And we've just got to make sure that he's really good with his recovery. He's already started the running program, so these hamstrings are pretty good early. We've got the progressions that we go through as far as the rehab for that, and then as he progresses, we'll be able to then provide further updates and clarity on whether it's going to be sort of on the earlier or the later end of that time frame on his return to play time period. So been really diligent about his rehab, and we should see Darcy out completing laps of the Oval over the course of this week, and then we'll be able to provide an update next week on where he's tracking with that. A couple of minor ones. So Jordy Goey, he had a real sort of deep glute. It's really minor strain, and these ones are often ones he obviously played out the game, and it didn't really affect his performance. It sort of behaved like a corky on the night, but it's not a corky. He got that doing a stretch injury, but it's in the real. It's not a glute muscle at all. It's a deep internal rotator, so real finite muscle that they can often perform really well with. He's completed some running at the moment this week. He's a watch and see and an assess to see how he progresses into our main session, and I'm sure Fly will be able to provide an update post that session on how he goes and whether he's going to be pushing for selection or not. So it's a wait and see on Jordy. And the other one was Johnny Noble. He had an ankle injury. We put him back out there in the fourth quarter, and he just wasn't quite. He was running around about 85%, so we ended up removing him and putting him on ice for the last 15 minutes. The ankle's pulled up really well. We had one of these actually around about 6 weeks ago, and it's a similar sort of response. So he's been able to complete some straight line running so far. If he gets through training session, he'll be available, and we're expecting that he'll be able to complete that. But it's a wait and see if he gets through that training session. We had one pop up from our VFL, Josh Carmichael. He had quite a unique injury, so it was a dislocated thumb at the time, and took some time to get back in on the sidelines. They were able to reposition that back in, so it's like a dislocated finger, but it's the thumb injury, and these ones are quite unique. They put that back in. He was able to go out and finish the game in the VFL. He's having some further assessment on that at the moment. We've got to wait and see how that responds, whether he can grip and tackle and handball and do all the things that he needs to do later in the week. So it's a test and wait and see. We'll be able to provide an update come VFL selection time for Carmi. Then we go to the ones that missed on the weekend. So Steel side bottom popped up in the middle of the week last week, was a sore foot, and he just couldn't quite go on main training run. So we made a pretty early call to rule him out for the weekend and deload that area. And he's been able to complete some running sessions over the weekend and some rehab on that, and he's tracking pretty well at the moment. Should he complete training in our main session, he'll be declared fit and available to play, but we've just got to wait and see whether he can get through that training session. Really hopeful that Steele comes up because he's progressing really well at the moment in the rehab from that foot injury. Will Kelly, so he's missed the last 2 weeks now of VFL with an ankle injury. He's been completing running, but just not quite able to sort of get over the hump to the intensity that we need him to get to in order to train and make himself available. Starting to get close to that point now. So we'll assess how he is in training through the middle of the week this week and assess his ability to, can he propel and can he do things at a bit higher intensity than what he has been doing over the weekend. He's been able to get some Ks in the legs, but just not being able to go at the speed that we want him to. So we'll make sure that we are sort of ticking every box as far as Will's concerned. If he can go at intensity Wednesday in our main session, then he'll be available to play, but it's a wait and see on Will at this stage. And then we go to our more medium to long-term guys. So Nick, he's recovering really well at the moment. A lot of the swelling's gone down in that knee. He's still non-weight bearing, so he's still on crutches and not putting full force through that. That's just a precaution at the moment. He can weight bear at the moment. He can walk around pretty comfortably. So we'll just keep on that process for another week. And then Nick will be able to start some more higher level rehab with bike and some weight training next week as we move into week 3. So progressing as we like at the moment, and he's just going through that process of recovery, and then he'll get into some work next week, and we'll see him be able to re-strengthen that area. And the final one is Charlie Dean. He's now working his way back into full training, so he's been able to do a lot of our competitive drills, so 1v1 marking and tackling and those kinds of things. That was his progression this week, and he's progressing really well through that. Should he get through that unscathed this week, which is tracking pretty well at the moment, he'll return to full training next week, and we'll see him into the match team, which is pretty exciting stuff, towards the back end of the season with Charlie and his way back for that foot injury. And that's all for the round 23 injury update.